One unresolved issue about the Sussexes remains as the royals gather at Balmoral for the first time since Her late Majesty passed away. I think we can safely say that King Charles is the only person in the whole world who begins his summer vacation with a formal introduction to a Shetland pony. Well, maybe it's actually the other way around. Hello and a very warm welcome to British Royal Daily Updates YouTube channel. This week was a significant event for the fanatical royal enthusiasts who debate about obscure German royal families, as His Majesty received his first official greeting by the Royal Regiment of Scotland as he commences his Balmoral break. Therefore, some unfortunate minion had to bring the regiment's mascot, Corporal Cruachan IV, and ensure that the pony's fur was adequately glossy for his yearly spotlight in front of the media. So the big exodus has started, with the royal family collectively switching off their emails right now as they congregate so far north you almost need thermal underwear. But before I crack too many jokes about plaid undergarments, it will be a vacation marked by sadness, the first such reunion since the death of Her late Majesty last year at Balmoral. Let's presume there will be some whisker-drenched, misty-eyed nights involving weepy HIHs ahead. So let's go back to those last weeks, that last vacation of Queen Elizabeth's, because there is one aspect that is worth revisiting, that Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex and their two little ones Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet did not go. From October 2021, when Buckingham Palace began cancelling the late Queen's engagements and she secretly spent a night in hospital, there had been constant concerns about her health. Last year, broadcaster and Queen Camilla's pal Giles Brandreth disclosed that at some point in her final years, Queen Elizabeth had been diagnosed with a type of bone marrow cancer and therefore always knew that her remaining time was limited. All of which means that this time last year, the House of Windsor knew that their leader was not going to live much longer. Pause for so many emotions. The question here is, given this information about Her late Majesty's deteriorating health, why didn't Harry and Meghan go and see her in Scotland? The Sussexes admired the nonagenarian warrior so much that they named their daughter after her, a move that sparked controversy and legal disputes in London and raised questions about whether the late Queen had given her blessing. However, the intention behind the gesture was obvious. The Sussexes may have fled to California to live authentically and make their own nut milk without being bothered by Buckingham Palace's requests that they inaugurate a Leeds exit, but they still wanted to show respect. As Harry told Oprah Winfrey, "I have a deep respect for her. She's my colonel-in-chief, right? She always will be." But with all these strong feelings and respect, the puzzling thing here is, why didn't they visit Balmoral? Why didn't they take the two youngest great-grandchildren of the legendary leader to see her? After all, the Sussexes had travelled to the UK in late May, bringing Archie and Lily with them when they came back for the late Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebrations, even carrying their own highchair with them on a private jet, according to the Daily Mail's photos. So, quick international trips were feasible. Likewise, they had planned a 5-day charity tour in Europe for the summer, which meant they would be near his sick grandmother. Again, why not spend an extra day or two with her? At that time, the Mirror's royal editor Russell Myers had said that Prince Charles did indeed invite them to stay with him at Balmoral with the Queen, but so far they have declined. So they will be missing a meeting with the Queen, which is quite sad to be honest. It's also important to remember that last summer, while Montecito-London relations were not very good, as we now know, thanks to the Duke's memoir, that he and his brother Prince William had a major fallout, much to the dismay of a certain dog bowl, they were not as bad as they are now. Then, the royal family and the rest of the world had no idea what kind of revelations the Duke and Duchess would unleash through 6 long hours on Netflix and via Spare. Boom. Things were much less divided back then, and the logistics were also easier to manage. Balmoral was not a small beach house with 4 bedrooms that you rented for a stressful week of sharing bathrooms. The main house had 52 bedrooms, according to reports, and there were countless cottages on the property. For instance, Prince Andrew, the Duke of York and the most avid fan of Love Island, was staying at Craigowne Lodge, which had only 7 bedrooms and a private elevator. My point is, if Harry and Meghan had wanted to spend some time with his granny, they could have done so. They wouldn't have had to encounter William and Kate, the Prince and Princess of Wales. The late Queen stayed at Balmoral from August 8 until she passed away a month later, and various family members, such as the Waleses, visited for much shorter periods. Therefore, there was a way for the Sussexes and the Waleses to avoid each other. In short, the timing and the lodging situation seemed like they could have been easily arranged if the West Coast exiles had wished to visit. Also consider that even until her death, the late Queen was always hopeful that the rift with the Sussexes could be mended. Earlier this month, a close figure told Richard Kay of the Daily Mail that Her Majesty never gave up hope that there would be some sort of reconciliation and that the couple would come back to the fold one day. Even now, after all that has transpired in the last year, Harry and Meghan's open invitation to join family gatherings has not been withdrawn, according to Rebecca English, the royal editor of the Mail. However, she adds that it is definitely not likely to be accepted. This is not to imply, for a moment, that Harry was not completely loyal to his grandmother, but one thing I have never understood is why they didn't wait until after her death to sit down with Oprah, for him to write his memoir and for them to produce that multi-part feast of complaining about how awful his family had been. Spare and the global event, which always makes me chuckle, of Harry and Meghan may not have been released this time last year, but the deals had been announced earlier. According to the Telegraph, some of Her late Majesty's friends revealed that the Sussexes' constant attacks on the royal family had a negative effect on the Queen's health in her last year. One royal friend said she had lost Prince Philip, and then the relentless harassment of the royal family by a beloved grandson took its toll. The paper also said that another, reliable source, had no doubt that the Sussexes' accusations harmed the late Queen's health. An intriguing hypothetical question is, what if Harry and Meghan had visited Balmoral? Would things be different now? The Times reported earlier this year that Harry had decided to cancel Spare after the family's Jubilee trip. A source from the publishing industry who was involved with Spare told the paper the book was ready to be published, but he changed his mind after seeing his grandmother. The boss came in right after Harry's last visit to London and said he scrapped it. He doesn't want to do it. Harry obviously changed his mind again at some point, but what if the book had been abandoned? Would the relationship between Harry, Charles, and William seem so irreparably and painfully broken? The most regrettable thing about all this? By not taking what could have been their last chance to stay at Balmoral, Harry and Meghan have deprived the world of ever seeing Archie and Lily riding Shetland ponies. This is the royal family we are talking about. It always comes down to horses. Remember to subscribe to British Royal Daily Updates YouTube channel and turn on the notification bell. This way you will be notified when we drop a video. Stay safe.